Debbie Nelson has passed away following a battle with advanced lung cancer.
At the end of the day, she's my mother, and I love her because she's my mother.
For years, Eminem's relationship with his mother, Debbie Nelson, has been a subject of intense public scrutiny, with the rapper channeling his anger and pain through his music. However, when news of Debbie's passing reached the public, fans were left wondering how the rapper would respond. In a completely unexpected move, Eminem broke his silence, offering a rare moment of vulnerability that shocked everyone. What prompted this surprising display of emotion? How does this shift in perspective change the way we view Eminem and his relationship with his mother? Discover why Eminem just breaks silence on his mother's death in SHOCKS. Everyone, a complicated bond. When Eminem burst onto the music scene in 1999 with his breakthrough single My Name Is, it wasn't just the beginning of his rise to fame as the biggest selling rapper in history. It also marked the public unveiling of a deeply strained relationship with his mother, Debbie Mathers. The song made waves not only for its catchy beat and witty lyrics, but for the shocking way it aired Eminem's family issues. In the track, he made startling claims that painted a grim picture of his deprived childhood, and even criticized her for not breastfeeding him. These harsh words prompted Debbie to file a massive $10 million defamation lawsuit against her son, and even create her own diss track in response to a move that highlighted the severity of their fractured relationship. Debbie's recent passing at the age of 69 closes the chapter on any hopes for a full reconciliation with the man she raised as Marshall Mathers III. Despite their tumultuous past, it's believed that Eminem supported her financially during her later years, though they reportedly weren't on speaking terms. By 2002, their relationship seemed irreparable when Eminem released his hit song Cleaning Out My Closet. On the track, he violently called his own mother a selfish person and expressed intense resentment toward her. He kept accusing her of sedating him as a child, just covering Valium on his food. One of the most disturbing findings in the song was Eminem's allegation against Debbie of having caused child mistreatment, Munchausen syndrome, by proxy to him. This rare mental condition involves a caregiver making up or exaggerating an illness in someone under their care. Eminem accused his mother of making him sick when he wasn't. Debbie herself became a controversial figure in his semi-autobiographical film 8 Mile, released in 2004, where her character was portrayed in a less than flattering light. Debbie did not disappoint after responding to her son with her own diss track, a less known form of spoken word, Dear Marshall. On the track, she started by declaring her lifelong devotion to her son, saying, "Marshall, I do want you to know that I still do love you." While she confessed to her shortcomings as a mom, she did not hide from criticizing Eminem's actions. She questioned, will the real Marshall Mathers please stand up and take responsibility for his actions? Considering the dyad, Debbie admitted to her own errors, explaining, "I went without even saying anything. Looking back, I see that my fault was giving you everything without ever questioning your choices. You were perfect in my eyes, but my unconditional love ended up creating a spoiled young man." Debbie fought back by releasing a memoir in 2008 titled My Son Marshall, My Son Eminem. In it, she elaborated her perspective on the matter and explained the extent of her despair because of the apparent lack of her son's happy memories. She lamented the way fame had made their private pain into a global TV show. Over the years, the bitter back and forth began to fade. Eminem later felt remorse for some of the bad things he wrote in his music about Debbie. He even went so far as to publicly vow to stop Cleaning Out My Closet from being performed live as an apology for the hurt his words had caused her. While their feud officially ended and Eminem admitted to loving and feeling compassion for his mother, their bond was never truly mended. How did Debbie Mathers' tumultuous past shape the complicated bond between her and her son? Continue watching to find out more. The traumatic childhood of Debbie Mathers. Debbie Mathers, born in January 1955 on a military base in Kansas, was raised in what she referred to as a large dysfunctional family. Life growing up was anything but simple. After her parents divorced when she was just 10 years old, Debbie found herself in a role far too big for her young shoulders, raising her 5 younger siblings. The burden of caring for her family in such a pivotal moment of their lives defined her childhood. Debbie was 15 years old and married Bruce Mathers, who was 22 when they wed. By the time she turned 18, she gave birth to their son, Marshall Bruce Mathers III, who the world would later know as Eminem. But bringing Marshall into the world was not without its challenges. Debbie endured a grueling 72-hour labor that nearly claimed her life. She suffered from toxicoma blood poisoning and slipped into a coma shortly after giving birth. It took her several days to regain consciousness. Her struggles didn't end there. Bruce left the family not long after Marshall was born, leaving Debbie to fend for herself and her baby boy. Life as a single mother was incredibly tough. Debbie and Marshall moved frequently, often getting evicted from trailer parks and low-income housing as they bounced between Michigan and Missouri. After a while, they arrived in a working-class community in Detroit, where Marshall found his calling in rap. In her 2008 memoir, My Son Marshall, My Son Eminem, Debbie reminisced about the early years with her two main contributors. She told of a hyperactive young Marshall who went round and round with a rich imagination. She remembered the way he used to run around the house dressed as Batman, jumping onto the sofa to fight imaginary baddies before slumping into her lap, worn out from his make-believe games. Debbie claimed that their bond was once so close that friends and family remarked it was as if the umbilical cord had never been cut. Support from Debbie Mathers for her son Marshall's early ambition to be a rapper faded with the upward trajectory of his status. Eminem frequently referenced her negatively in his music, particularly in his 2009 song My Mom, where he accused her of tampering with his food with Valium. In his memoir The Way I Am, he reflected on the neglect he endured, linking it to his current identity, and later admitted that repairing their bond would be difficult. While Debbie's life had its hardships, she also experienced joy during Marshall's childhood, but their personal connection decayed along with the Star's rise, and the Star's music became a vehicle for him to process the trauma of his childhood. A court feud. In one of Eminem's songs, he said, "I just found out my mom does more dope than I do." The shocking lyric didn't just stir up controversy in the music world, it deeply offended Debbie, who decided to hit back with a lawsuit. She accused her son of defamation and demanded a staggering $10 million in damages. At the time, Eminem's lawyer, Paul Rosenberg, released a statement addressing the lawsuit. He explained that the legal battle stemmed from years of tension between the mother and son. Eminem's life is reflected in his music. Anything that he has ever said can be verified to be true, Rosenberg said, and truth is the absolute shield against a claim that it is defamation. In this lawsuit, Eminem is not shocked at all. She's threatening to sue him ever since the release of his song, My Name Is. Although Rosenberg acknowledged the pain of being sued by one's own mother, he made it clear that the matter would be handled solely through legal channels. The lawsuit didn't slow Eminem down, though. Indeed, his music continued to grapple with his tumultuous relationship with Debbie, frequently in an unsentimental and violent fashion. Debbie Mathers sued her son Eminem in a suit of defamation, eventually achieving a win of $25,000, though after legal costs she was left with only $1,600. Even after the court ruling, Eminem's anger remained, manifesting in his songs with hostile lyrics aimed at Debbie, illustrating their still difficult relationship. For Debbie, the lawsuit may have been a way to regain control over her narrative, but for Eminem, it further solidified his belief that their bond was beyond repair, with the emotional fallout continuing to fuel his music. What impact did Eminem's rise to fame affect his unresolved issues with his mom? Let's find out. Setting the record straight. In 2008, Debbie Mathers self-published her tell-all memoir, My Son Marshall, My Son Eminem, seeking to tell her side of the story years after her constant depiction in a distorted view by her celebrated son, Eminem. In the text, she also argued that it was a far cry from the overnight sensation that he advertised himself to be, and shared how she felt about the image that Eminem had manufactured for the world. At first, I went along with it for Marshall's sake, Debbie admitted. If I made one mistake as a mother, it was spoiling my eldest son and giving in to his every whim. She explained that Eminem never had a relationship with his father, Bruce Mathers, who left the family shortly after his birth. I tried my best to compensate for it, but I think it wasn't enough, she thought. Debbie also voiced her pain over how Eminem had reinvented his life story for his music. I wasn't happy when he created a whole new version of his past. What mother doesn't want people to see her as a pill-popping welfare queen, she questioned. To tell the truth, I was heartbroken. I think he's forgotten the good times we had. This is my way of setting the record straight. This book is. The memoir also delved into Debbie's own troubled childhood. She recounted living in a troubled home, where feelings of love and stability were infrequent. The only positive part of her life was the spending she did with her grandmother in the summer. She was the one woman in my large dysfunctional family who showed us kids any love, Debbie wrote. The following year, Debbie shared a sliver of optimism about reconciliation with her son in a Village Voice interview. Just a question of swallowing your pride, she explained. It's like a cash check. What's done is done. You need to move on. Unfortunately for all of it, Debbie still reassured that she would never abandon her son or her family. I'm not ever going to give up on my kids, Banlo, she shared. I won't give up on anybody. There's hope for everyone. Did both parties attempt to mend their broken bond? Keep watching to know more. Mending broken ties. In 2013, Eminem stunned his audience when he reached out to his mother, Debbie Mathers, with his soulful ballad Headlights. After years of airing their grievances through music and media, this track marked a significant shift in their strained relationship. However, by means of lyrics, Eminem offered an apology for past behaviors, specifically for the wrath unleashed in his 2002 recording Cleaning Out My Closet. "I'm sorry, mama, for cleaning out my closet," but he confessed, telling his mother directly that his song arose from a place of unfiltered emotion and hurt. He admitted that nowadays, every time the song comes on the radio, it brings him up short. Eminem even vowed to never play it again, saying that the last time he did was in 2013 at the Leeds Festival. The lyrics to Headlights made an introspective and honest depiction of Eminem's regret. "We still today are disconnected," he confessed, "and I hate it though, Yilas," he said, admitting that one of his greatest regrets was that his mother never saw her children grow from child to adult. He then remarked, "And I'm mad that I didn't get the chance to say thank you for being my mom and my dad." In a touching turn, Eminem softened his tone towards Debbie, expressing a newfound appreciation for her struggles. "Regardless, I don't hate you, cause ma, you're still beautiful to me, cause you're my ma." He acknowledged the immense burden she carried, singing, "All you did, all you said, you did your best to raise us both. Foster care, that cross to bear, not many more burdensome than yours." This emotional song wasn't the first time Eminem hinted at a shift in his perspective. 4 years earlier, in a 2009 interview on BET, he admitted to feeling compassion for his mother despite their rocky past. "At the end of the day, she's my mother and I love her because she's my mother," he revealed. Eminem further stated that with age he came to realize a part of Debbie's suffering. "I think I've got a better understanding of what she was going through, or what she may still be going through." Although they had not seen each other for years, M's words came across as a mixture of remorse, empathy, and love. "Even though we don't really speak, she's still my mother and I do love her," he said. At the time, he revealed it had been several years since they last spoke, possibly 3 or 4. A mother's love. Despite a history of intense relationship discord, over the years, echoes of tenderness and pride have sometimes surfaced beneath the surface. Despite their continued estrangement, Debbie made headlines in 2022 when she publicly congratulated her son for a major milestone in his career, his induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. In a sentimental video that social media shared, Debbie called on Eminem and expressed elation for his success. "Marshall, I want to say I could not let this day go by without congratulating you on your induction into the Hall of Fame," she said with visible emotion. This unusual public demonstration of Debbie's support felt like a reminder that there is still love she has for her son. Even through years of distance and conflict, she didn't stop there, continuing to express just how much the achievement meant to her as a mother. "I love you very much. I knew you'd get there. It's been a long ride. I'm very, very proud of you," she said. Her words painted a picture of a mother who, despite the past, recognized her son's hard work and the heights he'd reached in his career. This message came just a year after Eminem made waves in his hometown of Detroit by opening a restaurant named Mom's Spaghetti, a nod to the memorable lyric from his hit song Lose Yourself. The line, "His palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, there's vomit on his sweater already, Mom's Spaghetti," became a cultural phenomenon and represented a significant part of his legacy. The song, featured on the 8 Mile movie soundtrack, earned widespread acclaim, selling over 10 million copies and winning 2 Grammy Awards in 2004. The restaurant itself was a full circle moment for Eminem. Although it was conceived from his music, its title inadvertently hinted at a complex history with his mother. After all, Lose Yourself symbolized the grit and determination it took for him to rise above his circumstances, many of which were shaped by his early life with Debbie. A family's pain. Longtime spokesperson for Eminem, Dennis Dennehy, also confirmed Debbie Arthur's death on Tuesday but declined to state the reason. It's known, however, that Debbie had been fighting a battle with lung cancer. It was also reported in September by In Touch that Debbie's condition had become terminal, with doctors informing her to count the days left. Intelligence sources indicate that she was passing her last hours at a cancer care facility and the homes of her relatives. Eminem has been financially supporting his mother's illness, but they haven't spoken for years. A source suggests that Eminem's family distrust, resulting from a road accident with his aunt and uncle years ago, may have contributed to their strained relationship. Hatred and mixed emotions today. This response reflects the deep and complicated feelings Nate, who was raised separately from his brother by Debbie, likely had toward their mother. At 16, Eminem was given custody of Nate, and this caused them to further stress their relationship with Debbie. Nate's father, Fred Samra, was one of Debbie's boyfriends after Eminem's biological father, Marshall Mathers Jr., left the family. Yet Fred sat out a good portion of the brothers' childhood, with Debbie mothering them predominantly herself. Eminem breaks silence on mom's passing. Eminem remained quiet about his mother Debbie Nelson's passing, and fans wondered what he would do to deal with this death. That changed during his recent performance at the Abu Dhabi Formula One Grand Prix event on December 8th. At the age of 52, the rapper went on stage and sang a few of his greatest hits, such as Without Me. The track with its themes of his difficult and fractious history with Debbie has some of this fury expressed in the bitter lines, "Forget you, Debbie?" where Eminem has in the past confessed the hurt still left by Debbie. However, during this particular performance, Eminem chose to omit those words, even though the crowd enthusiastically sang the original version. The decision to bypass the controversial track caused fans to wonder if it was perhaps a subliminal show of respect in the wake of his mother's death. Meanwhile, Eminem's younger brother, Nate Kane, expressed his feelings about Debbie's death in an Instagram story. Nate has been open about the difficulties he experienced as a child, such as being entered into foster care at 8 years of age. Eminem, who was still trying to make a name for himself, promised himself to give Nate back under his protection. Speaking to Rolling Stone, in 2004, Eminem shared, "I tried to apply for full custody when I was 20, but I didn't have the means. It wasn't until Nate turned 16 that Eminem, who had by then achieved worldwide success, was able to adopt him and provide a stable home." Nate, who is now a father himself, praised Eminem for playing a father's role in his life during difficult times. He now works in the music industry, following in his brother's footsteps, stating that Eminem was the greatest inspiration for him. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, leave nice comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting content. Check out another interesting video by clicking on the video appearing on your screen right now.